Mark Ramsey, Congressional District 10. Having copies handed out of a resolution that I am proposing. It's based on something that the SREC did on Saturday. On Saturday, if you haven't heard, the SREC passed a resolution overwhelmingly to basically complain about the Supreme Court decision regarding the Texas case before them. And it had some other language that encouraged the other state legislators to try to fix the problem of the 4 states that were identified. I took this resolution from SREC and I modified it to incorporate unique aspects of the Electoral College. It is patterned after the one that passed already overwhelmingly and received very good response from people across the state. And I'll read it to you now. There are copies being passed out. It's entitled, Defending the Integrity of Our Constitution, Our Elections, and These United States. Whereas the members of the Presidential Electoral College from Texas condemned the moral cowardice of the United States Supreme Court in failing to accept the original jurisdiction of a suit by one state against another, which is expressly allowed by the United States Constitution in Article 3, Section 2. And whereas the United States Supreme Court ruled that it would not hear the case because the state of Texas lacked standing, and whereas as members of the Electoral College, we clearly have standing, and whereas the Supreme Court did not rule on the merits of the arguments, and whereas the Supreme Court refused its responsibility to hear a case under Article 3, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, and whereas neither Texas nor any state should accept a clearly unconstitutional process that, if left unchallenged, will harm its citizens' lives, liberty, property, and will itself set a precedent for future usurpations. And whereas respect for our Constitution requires that all attempts to usurp it and its specifically designated powers by any means, governors or otherwise, should never be permitted, in this case relating to the appointment of electors, quote, in such a manner as the legislature thereof may direct, unquote, from the U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 1. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Presidential Electoral College from Texas call on the state legislatures of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Michigan to convene and appoint their electors in accordance with the true constitutional vote of the people, or if undeterminable, by appointing their electors directly. And be it further resolved that in the event of a failure of the 4 legislatures to act as the above, that the congressional delegations of those states object to those 4 states' unconstitutionally appointed electors when publicly read January 6th. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to each member of the United States Supreme Court, President Donald J. Trump, and Vice President Mike Pence, the Governor and Lieutenant Governor of Texas, and the Speaker of the legislative bodies of each respective state. Members, Mr. Chairman, I move adoption.
Elector Ramsey has moved adoption. Is there a second on the motion? Would you? One moment. One moment. We have to have a second first for objections.
CD 24, I second this motion.
Please state your name, congressional district, and your objection.
Mr. Chairman, Jim Pickle, Congressional District 3. I'm in favor of the resolution except for the words at the very beginning, the moral cowardice of. With that stricken from that, I would vote for the approval. Thank you. And I move that those words be stricken from the resolution as amended.
Is there a motion to second the amendment to the resolution? Please state your name, congressional district, and your motion.
My name is Tamon Hamlet, Congressional District 18. I second the motion to the amendment to strike down the words and keep the rest of the proposal.
Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Please state your name, congressional district, and your position on, for, or against.
Tex Hall, Congressional District 21, speaking for the amendment. I, Don Quixote, come and tilt at this windmill. Kind of catches your attention. If I'd have walked up and said, I, Don Quixote, y'all would have looked at me like my hat was on backwards. Ken Mercer would have probably done backflips and every other educator around, because while those words may have gotten your attention, they didn't get to the heart of the deal.
There's been an objection that the elector needs to maintain his speech on the motion, not on the resolution entirety. Please limit your remarks to the amendment to the resolution. Thank you.
That is correct, sir. So these two small words, moral cowardice, are like this fire ant bite I got the other day. It's little, but it's irritating, and everybody's had one. So when you throw those words out front, yes, you get their attention, but not in the right way. And I say that if anybody here can stand up now and tell Justices Thomas, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett that they lack moral courage, you better rethink things. So I stand with the amendment to delete the words moral cowardice from it, and you could even just substitute the word action. Thank you.
Is there any discussion on, for, or against the amendment to the motion?
Mr. Chairman, Matt Patrick, Congressional District 32, speaking against the amendment. I'd like to leave the words in there. I wish I could give you a specific citation for this, but I didn't make note of it because it was something that I read this morning and I did not know we were going to be presenting this amendment yet. But there's a report available online that talks about it was written by someone who's a current staffer for one of the Supreme Court justices. And I'll just describe the report to you that I read, and you can make of it what you will. He said that the justices, as they always do, went into a closed room to discuss cases they're taking or do debate. There's no phones, no computers, no nothing. No one else is in the room except for the 9 justices. It's typically very civil. They usually don't hear any sound. They just debate what they're doing. But when the Texas case was brought up, he said he heard screaming through the walls as Justice Roberts and the other liberal justices were insisting that this case not be taken up. And the reason, the words that were heard through the wall when Justice Thomas and Justice Alito were citing Bush versus Gore from John Roberts were, I don't give about that case. I don't want to hear about it. At that time, we didn't have riots. So what he was saying was that he was afraid of what would happen if they did the right thing. And I'm sorry, but that is moral cowardice. And we in the SREC, I'm an SREC